This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. This is your weekend review. We've got a brand new co-host tonight, one that you've maybe heard on the mailbag or on our AEW Dynamite review, who has been filling in for Mimi the past couple of weeks. The Krisis is here in person in the studio. Well, that sounds cool, right? Not really in the studio, more like via Skype, but sounds better and more professional to say that. So we'll say that. He's in the studio tonight to talk about everything this week in WWE. We touch on everything, at least a lot of the major stuff, and had a lot of fun doing it. So stay tuned for that in just a minute. First, don't forget to get me your emails today, tonight, tomorrow, or by Tuesday, or even Wednesday, midday at the latest, so that I can forward them on to the casual wrestling fan who will be doing the email portion of our show for the mailbag this week. He's doing the takeover with himself and the missus for the email portion of the mailbag. I will still be doing the voicemail, and I will be doing the voicemail right up front at the beginning of the show. A little bit of a reverse of the format and order that we do typically. So I'll be doing the voicemails at the beginning. So still send in your voicemails. You can call, by the way, at 518-952-0247. Leave your voicemail, or you can, of course, attach an audio file to an email, and then I'll know that you also have a voicemail there. But the emails will be exclusively to the to Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling fans. So definitely send them in. He's looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I think everybody listening is looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. So just a reminder there. Also, go to Patreon if you want to get rid of these ads. And look, as the holiday season approaches, we probably will have even more ads, as you know, as is kind of the season for marketers to put their stuff in, and for us to have an opportunity to monetize this show. So if you want to just erase those ads, you have two ways of doing it. $1 a month will get you ad-free everything, plus access to our Discord server, which is live all the time. It's not just for pay-per-views or Monday Night Raws or SmackDowns. It is a place to go with you and only you and the other patrons to talk about anything about wrestling at any time. You'll get access to that for $1 a month on Patreon. Or if you want to go on Apple Podcasts and you don't want to deal with another app or anything, you just click on Apple Podcasts and go to the ad-free, get rid of those pesky ads button. You'll see it right at the top of the page. You get 7 days free, and then it's only $2.99 a month for everything ad-free on Apple Podcasts. So, all right, that all said, tomorrow I'll be back with another What If with Anthony DeMarco. Tuesday's Raw review. Of course, Wednesday, I just said, is the half and half Mr. and Mrs. Takeover show for the email portion of the mailbag, and I'll be doing voicemails at the very beginning of that show and then toss it to him. So everybody, thank you so much for listening to this show. If you like us, tell a friend, share us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, or of course, give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. All right, everybody, thanks so much. Here comes none other than the Krisis and myself talking about everything this week in WWE, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, everybody, welcome to your week in review tonight. Tonight, it has finally happened. We have none other than the Krisis joining us here on the WWE Podcast for the week in review. We've been trying to set up some time, and you've heard him over the last couple of AEW Dynamite review shows, doing an excellent job, and you guys seem to really enjoy his reviews as well, sitting in for Mimi while she takes care of life. And so welcome, Krisis, to the show. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. What's good, everybody? I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, definitely. It's about time that we get together, and we've got so much to go over with this week on Raw and SmackDown. Certainly, there's no shortage of topics to dive into. But before we do that, I want to just introduce you to everybody. Maybe they haven't heard the AEW Dynamite review shows you did. Maybe they're not necessarily an AEW fan. They're strictly WWE. And before we jump into this week, I want to give everyone a little bit of background on you as far as a wrestling fan goes. How did you get into wrestling, first of all?
Well, when I was in junior high, that's really when I got into wrestling. I am 40 years old. And when I was in junior high, my best friend, his parents were the quintessential diehard WWF fans. I mean, that whole house, everything was wrestling, was scheduled around wrestling shows and all that. So, I came on with, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker and that whole crew, and then the Attitude Era. But then, I get older and, life happens, you kind of fade out of things. And then literally like about, I don't know, I have to say about 4 years ago. Yeah, about 4 years ago, I was really just sitting at home kind of bored and just thought I'd check it out and see where it was today. And that's where I really got into. I basically came back in as Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, and that whole NXT class had made it to the main roster. And because I'm a big fan of women's wrestling, I'm a big fan of women's MMA. It's just really awesome to see them, on a level that the men are. And to be honest with you, I find it sometimes even better and more exciting. And so, that's how I came back in, and I'm a diehard Becky Lynch fan. I'm sure we'll touch that subject later. It's a sore subject. But, after I got back into it, I really enjoyed the new product, to be honest. And that's when NXT had kind of started as well. And NXT, I started watching that because I started seeing these wrestlers on the main roster. I didn't know anything about them, and everyone kept telling me that, hey, these guys come from NXT. That's where they come from. So I started watching NXT as well, and that's where I became, an absolute. I'm a big fan of the entire class of the last 2 years. Your Adam Coles, your Riddles. I saw when we get to Hit Row. I've seen Swerve Scott's entire WWE career. I've seen Damian Priest's entire WWE career, and that's really, I think, what kind of pushed it even further for me. And then in the last couple of years, I've actually been at some very amazing moments. I'm very, very lucky with impeccable timing. I was in Seattle when the crowd hijacked the show for Daniel Bryan. I was in Seattle when Elias had the biggest boo in practical history when he disrespected the Seattle Supersonics in Seattle. It was absolutely hilarious. I was there when Edge came back, and I literally bought my tickets to SummerSlam months prior this last year because I was willing to bet the house that is when Becky Lynch would return, and I didn't want to miss. That's not really the main reason. The only reason why I went is because I wanted to be there when she returned because I'm fully invested in her character. I've met her at a couple of different promo spots, but like I said, with NXT, it allows you to really learn the person behind the character because you and I both know characters once they get to the main roster, they could go anywhere. So that's really what did it for me. And then, hey, this last couple of years, AEW, it's exciting. It's something different. It's something fresh, and yes, I did really start watching it because of some of the wrestlers that have come from WWE. But now I have kind of gotten invested in their product as well and what they do. So, yeah, I watch wrestling. It works with my job. I still work a full-time job, the whole 9 yards. But it really does allow me to watch 4 to 5 wrestling shows a week. So that's what I do. I gotta
say, man, like you have gotten so lucky, or maybe it's luck, skill, or in the universe all aligning to make you in a position, put you in a position where you get to experience all these moments. And you just came back in 2017 from, I would assume you left around Ruthless Aggression era, maybe the start of it is what I'm guessing, all the way from there until 2017. I mean, that's like a good 15 years. And so Wow, that's a hell of a gap to really not see, and that also presents an opportunity to go back, of course, on Peacock or the WWE Network, whatever, and be able to experience moments. But you have been in attendance for quite some big moments, and I know that people may not know some may not know we're talking about the Seattle Supersonics. Guys, it's on YouTube. Like, just go and watch that clip of Elias when he's doing his routine a number of years ago, and it was the loudest I've ever heard, at least in the last 5-10 years. It was unbelievable, and people sitting at home were like, "What the hell is going? What did he say?" So people at home were kind of like, "I get it. He trashed the local sports team." But yeah, anyway,
it's not just trash the local sports team. It's like the Sonics to us are like the New Orleans Saints to New Orleans.
Yeah.
See, there's diehard fans. We had Kevin Durant in his rookie of the year. A guy comes from out of town. They can't get a stadium built. He says he's going to get a stadium built, and then he just jacked the Supersonics and took them out. And no, it's an emotional response. That's a great video to watch because it's not just heat. It is solid emotion, anger, and disgust. And watching them two, Elias and Kevin Owens, really try to finish the promo and look at each other, not sure what to do. I mean, it is one of my favorite moments in wrestling, period. And I'm honored that I got to be there.
One that was not supposed to happen. I mean, I'm sure they expected some boos, but I don't think they anticipated the nuclear heat that was really directed towards them. Like you said, emotional response, which is really what people watch wrestling for in the first place, to feel something emotionally. At least that's what I believe. And so as we turn it to really the current day here, I want to get this out of the way first, because as you and I talked off air, the Charlotte conversation has really been at the forefront of so many different so many shows, websites, including ours. And it, as you mentioned before the show started, you said that on the mailbag, so many people wanted to talk about Charlotte, and they did, and rightfully so. It's a big deal, but I do want to touch on it quickly here, just so that we're not ignoring it or whatever. What is let me just clear the air here. What is your belief on exactly what the hell is going on with Charlotte and WWE?
I believe it's kind of funny. And sometimes you get to see, a character taken over by the real persona. This is a case where I think the real persona is resembling Charlotte Flair, the character. I think Fox taking her, and specifically, I just think about what the other girls backstage thought about that, about Fox specifically requesting Charlotte Flair. If I'm Liv Morgan, Becky, Carmella, all of them in the back, I'm like, well, hey, because the beautiful part about wrestling is the only way that you can be top tier and get to that level is working with other people. You don't do it on your own. She has to have matches with other people. She has to have promos with other people. You have to put people over. And I really think I believe that there's resentment back there. I've seen the video millions of times. I honestly believe that whole title exchange was a debacle. And I really, ultimately, something that not many people have said is I'm really proud, and I have a lot of respect for Sonya Deville, because this is what I believe, from all the information that we gather, is after the debacle in the ring, Charlotte Flair goes to the back. Becky Lynch talks, and she was there to stand her ground, put her feet down. The rest of the locker room really supported her in that. But that was a verbal thing. You know what I'm saying? The reason why Charlotte Flair, in my opinion, got escorted out by security, it wasn't for Charlotte to keep Charlotte Flair from interacting with anybody else or starting something. It was because Sonya Deville was not waiting backstage to talk. Sonya Deville was waiting backstage to throw hands. She wanted the smoke, quote unquote. And I think, and I really love this, because we've gotten to see, and the character of Charlotte Flair, entitled. She gets everything given to her. She's always a champion. This and that and the other thing. But now I believe that, honestly, that some of it has bled into reality. And, I don't think it was a good idea for everybody to know, that she was specifically picked for SmackDown. I do agree that Charlotte Flair should have dropped the title to Bianca Belair, but hey, she's not the boss. And so I think that, there's just a little power struggle there. And hypothetically, there is always that chance. I mean, I know it's a 1% chance that she ever leaves, but we've said that about other people. Like they let Bray Wyatt walk away, they let Aleister Black go, they let Adam Cole go. I know her hubby, her boo thing is over there in AEW, and the recent horrible press from her dad, like her dad's been excommunicated basically from WWE. So maybe she is trying to sabotage her own situation to force WWE to do something with her, and maybe she is trying to get out, and I think it'd be a bad idea for her. But then again, we never know, because this is all speculation. None of us truly know what has really gone down. All we can do is read all these stories and try to put it together ourselves, and that's all we're doing.
That's all we're doing. And, some of these things we're saying are probably half truths, partial truths, or maybe no truth at all. We'll never know until eventually, you would think eventually the dust will settle and everything will be revealed in time. But until that time happens, we are sitting here just sitting there stewing our own thoughts about what could actually be going on. We're only seeing what they're showing us on TV, which is blending a little bit of reality and a little bit of fantasy, and you're not sure which is which. And we get the news sites, the big news sites that report all these things, and Mr. Dave Meltzer, who says this and that, and take whatever he says with a grain of salt, because sometimes we all know what he says is not always 100% true. So look, what I really believe, is that Charlotte seems to be unhappy. And whether it is because she does want to rather be in AEW, where maybe, Andrade is talking up AEW, like, hey, listen, I would love to have you here. This company is so much better. It's so much less stress. The environment's so much easier to take. Maybe she is trying to, like you said, force WWE's hand, be a problem so that WWE, when her contract is up, decide to release her, or maybe release her sooner. It is possible. I think if you're going to ask me, I think that's a part of it. I don't think that's all of it, because it doesn't seem like this is one singular thing that is happening here. It seems like multiple things with Charlotte are happening, which are leading to this true heat backstage. So I think that when you take that into consideration, that it's not just one single event, then it becomes very complicated. It's multi-layered. And we're left here to speculate like we're doing right now. But I would think that Andrade being in a different company and now they're engaged, like, that is certainly a strain on her relationship. She'd rather be with her fiance. I mean, and I understand that. I get that. And, but I don't think that's a singular reason. So, look, we saw this week though with her and Sasha Banks, Charlotte opened the show and Sasha came to the ring. Man, there seemed to be, like, you and I have been watching wrestling a long time. You can tell when it's like produced heat, and when there's real something behind what they're saying, there's a lot of truth. And I will say the looks that they were giving each other, it's not produced. Oh, your character hates my character, we're going to have a fight. No, there was something deeper. The way that Charlotte was interacting, mocking Sasha, mocking her moves, mocking her laugh, like just the way that she was interacting. I've never seen Charlotte do that to try to degrade her in front of the camera. It's not a produced piece of this segment, at least not in my estimation. What did you take from Sasha and Charlotte this past Friday night?
Well, I gotta say, this is going to be really fun, because I literally talk at you all the time when you're doing your weekend review. I answer you and I argue with you and I yell at you, when I'm listening. So it's really cool to, actually have a moment where I agree 100%. When I watched that promo, I had the same thing. I can't exactly remember what she said. She made a couple comments during that promo, and I'm sitting here watching it with my friend, and I'm looking over. I'm like, that's some real talk. She, and I agree with you. It did. That whole promo felt more like Charlotte Flair, the real human being, the performer, and not the character. And that's what I think that is happening. Is she's purposely, in my opinion, I believe that she is trying to upstage other girls, in the ring. Now she's tried it with Nia Jax, she's tried it with Becky Lynch, she's doing it with Sasha Banks, and ultimately that the reason why, like I said earlier, that it might give her a chance to get out as in sabotaging her situation is because when you're in the ring, you need to trust the other person in the ring with you. If she keeps this up, it's going to get to a point, where maybe necessarily people won't trust her in the ring. And that makes for an unsafe environment. It makes for, you and I both know an injury can happen at any single moment. And so, regardless of characters and storylines and all that, the bottom line is when you watch any single match, it is two people that have to have a trust in each other to work together in unison, because if there's anything that is not all the way there on that point, there's a chance of injury. And that's what I think is going to happen. It's going to get to a point where none of the girls want to work with her. I mean, she's already starting to get to that point. I remember, back in the day with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, Bret had walked up to Shawn Michaels and said, "Hey, I know we don't like each other, but, I'm going to do my job, and I know you can trust me in the ring." And Shawn Michaels looked right back at him and says, "I can't say the same," and that sets up for a dangerous situation, because ultimately I don't ever want someone to get hurt and all that nonsense, but hey, if no one feels safe or wants to work with her, eventually what are you going to do?
Yeah, your hands are going to be tied. And if Charlotte is purposely sabotaging her own career so that she's released, I really don't think that's a good idea. It's just because you have made yourself in WWE. That's where you were born essentially, and you were made. She's a Hall of Famer, no doubt. She's a living Hall of Famer right now for the women's division, no question. So everything she does from here on out is just gravy. And that said, I just don't think it's good for her career to just purposefully cut it short. I just think that would show a little bit of immaturity on her end. Now, again, I don't know the whole situation. Of course, this is where the speculation problem comes in. But I don't think it would be a good look for her, even if her goal is maybe to get to AEW so she can get the hell out of that environment and also join her fiance and just be in a much more relaxed place to work. But you're also showing your future employer that, hey, yeah, I'll sabotage myself and sacrifice the product quality for my own career. That is what you don't want to show your future employer. So if this is indeed self-sabotage on Charlotte's part to get out of WWE, I think it's a bad idea on her part. I think that she just needs to abide by the terms and conditions of her contract. If she wants out after her contract is over, fine. According to Dave Meltzer, again, he says, quote, "A long time is remaining on her contract, said to be more than a year." So if that's true, then she has maybe multiple years on her contract. She needs to fulfill that obligation, and then if she wants to leave, then she can leave then. But it's really going to be a bad idea on her part. It'll feel good in the moment, and like it's that quote unquote yes queen moment, and until AEW gets involved and they say, hey, wait a minute, why would we want to hire somebody that would be this selfish, that cares more about their own interests and going into business for themselves rather than our own product? So that's where I feel like it could get a little messy for her if she tries to do this.
Yeah, I'd have to totally agree there, but the really good part about I don't mean to jump the gun, but the really good part about that promo, it was a little bit weird and a little uncomfortable, but man, what happened later on after that promo, what that got ignited, that's something I'm excited about.
Let's talk about it. The Shotzi, right?
Yes,
Go for it.
The greatest part is because I know you don't watch NXT, but Shotzi, she's another professional wrestler, JR, that I have seen her whole career. And I saw her when she debuted, and I looked at her, I was like, that girl has the look. She's got the height. Because she's a lot taller than you realize until you see her next to shorter girls. But I've watched her, her entire NXT run, and she was a character that was really, really apprehensive about coming to the main roster. But the big win, the big respect and props in this whole storyline is Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks sold the hell out of that beating. She put put Shotzi over so big, and it was such a beautiful heel turn, because that was something that I was really thinking needed to happen. I mean, she is a fun character, but I don't know if you've seen the movie Tank Girl, but that's where I kind of feel like she got her mood from. But you add Shotzi in there. The Tank, I will admit, it is. I feel like this was the first time that Pat McAfee had kind of an off night, because I know they were in his ear trying to tell him to put over that stupid Tank. The Tank's cool. I just don't think it needs all the attention and the rocket shooting off of it. But hey, I'll take the good with the bad. But the fact that the Tank was there came into great effect as Shotzi just beat down Bianca or Sasha Banks. And I'm curious what you thought of that. Just the whole idea of putting her over and the heel turn. Because in my opinion, I feel like not many things WWE does is flawless and perfect. I feel like the match and her losing and going into the heel turn and whooping down Sasha Banks, I feel like that was huge, because that solidified her as a heel. And if Charlotte Flair is to not going to be able to have anyone work with her, maybe she needs to take some time away. There's your new top heel in the women's division.
Seems like everybody's turning heel and no one's turning babyface. You notice that? Like, it seems like there's always a heel turn. It's like 5 heel turns for every babyface turn, it seems like. But yeah, look, Shotzi had a career night, at least on the main roster anyway. For those that are not familiar with her work regularly, like myself, and I think probably most casual fans of the product don't follow NXT. I mean, the ratings pan that out. So you look at the numbers, it's kind of the same thing. That said, though, those that didn't know her now know her name now. And the match that she had was, it wasn't like, I'd say WrestleMania main event or something like that, but it was a hell of a main event. It was hard hitting. She felt like she belonged. She wasn't just this kind of throw in from NXT that you would look at and go, she'll have a career eventually. No, it looks like she's here to play right now, and there's no better time to have another big player than right now in a women's division that is thin as hell on both ends. And I think that she did just a spectacular job in her match with Charlotte. Of course, the quote-unquote heel turn, and I say quote-unquote heel turn because I do believe that's how it was designed. I agree with you. But when you look at this, well, yeah, but here's the thing. You have 3 heels in this segment. Like, you have Sasha, you have Charlotte, and you have Shotzi, who's now turned heel. So,
well, I think that something we miss is that Sasha Banks. I know we don't trust her. That's why I had to tell my friend that over and over again. You can't trust her. Her and Kevin Owens are 2 characters that doesn't matter how babyface they go. I mean, her boo's a backstabber, okay? But that was, in my opinion, at the same time, they turned Sasha Banks babyface.
A double turn? You think it's a double turn?
That's exactly what it was.
Could be. You're right. It could be a double turn, and that's how I was trying to formulate it in my mind of like, okay, I think that's what they're doing here. So once again, we're supposed to dislike Sasha because she just got beat down by an NXT up and coming star. Yet look at all the dastardly things that Sasha has done over the years. And with a laugh like that, it's going to be very difficult for me to cheer for her. I think she's an excellent talent, but there's so much working against her. The fact that, like you said, you can't trust her. She turns heel every moment that they get. I mean, she's babyface for like 2-3 months and bam, they flip her and she's back to heel. So the trust of fans getting behind Sasha, I don't think is going to be immediate, because they are going to look at this and go, yeah, we've seen this before. We've been here many, many times. So I don't think it's going to be immediate. Plus, people are excited to see Shotzi, who's new in a lot of fans' eyes. They're excited for the new. They want to see stars on the rise. And so I think it could be an opposite effect if they're not careful of, while it was supposed to be maybe a heel turn for her, it could end up being a babyface turn, because they have this rough around the edges badass chick from NXT that just came up and put both of those women in their place. I mean, so you got to be careful. If it was designed as a double turn, I don't know if that is going to be exactly the way that things pan out over the next several weeks to months.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the big reason why I feel like it was a solid heel turn for Shotzi is because Shotzi was over in NXT. She's been over for a while. Just a quick history, they had her, in there, and then she was in a tag team with Tegan Knox. She was in a tag team with Ember Moon. But she was always, more the fun, just trying to be fun and colorful and hey, I'm trying my best and working my way up the mountain. And that's why, I saw a completely different side of Shotzi Blackheart, of a complete 180 different side of her on that show, because and I've always thought this whole time that's what she needed, because that goes into the other heel turn that happened. Both her and Damian Priest, yeah, they were baby faces, but I'm sitting there looking at them both the whole time like, man, can I just get them as a heel? Because that's going to be so much better. It's more comfortable, and it seems to fit her look and her character so much better, both her and Damian Priest. So that's why, I really feel, that it's a solid heel turn for her, and her beating down Sasha Banks so bad. That put it this way, that beatdown, I literally said it when we were watching it. I was like, I'm going to bet money that this beatdown of Sasha Banks lasts longer than the whole Queen's Crown tournament.
A lot of things lasted longer than the Queen Crown's tournament. I mean, you look at Roman Reigns' entrances probably combined for longer than the Queen's Crown tournament. I mean, so it's that is a whole nother conversation for sure. But yeah, look, it's kind of putting a bow on the Shotzi Blackheart thing. I do believe that this was a heel turn. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you that was their intent. I just don't know if in execution long term, if that's how it's going to actually be perceived by fans, and then if fans just don't go, yeah, no, we love this, we're going to cheer this. So right. The fans could have an opposite effect, as a lot of times fans do, and we'll see. It's only been, I mean, it just happened. So, all right. Moving on, though. And by the way, the Nerf gun tank, I would do away with it immediately. Like, I don't need to have like a Power Wheels toy tank out there shooting Nerf guns and then we're supposed to be told they're missiles. I mean, like, I know that don't mean that literally, but to me, it's so childish. I don't like it, but I know a lot of people find it entertaining. That's cool, but man, get rid of the damn tank. It's anyway. All right. I do want to ask you here. Let's see. Where do I go next? So many different places. The absence of Roman Reigns while he wasn't on the show, do you think there's anything to that?
No. I actually thought it was absolutely beautiful. I thought it was needed. It's something that was needed that we didn't know we needed. Because when Roman is on the show, I mean, rightfully so. I mean, he's having, in a lot of people's opinions, one of the best runs in history. He's starting to creep up there, in the runs of, the Stone Colds and the Rock and whatnot. He still needs another year or so of solid doing this, but he's on a tear. And I actually, because the headline, you had the Usos, in the main event, I thought that was fine. I thought that was solid. Just give him a break, and because we know he's over so far that we know what Roman's doing. We know, the threat he is and what he brings to the table. So just having him off of one episode, this is what it did. And I'm going to try not to laugh out loud, but this is true. His ring entrance alone probably allowed, just taking that out, they were able to put in the Sasha Banks beatdown.
Yeah.
Like if you have Roman Reigns on the show, you have to realize that there is about an 8 or 9 minute TV time. Not when I watched it at SummerSlam, I made the same. I think I said this on the mailbag. I made a bet with the guy next to me that Roman Reigns' entrance would last longer than Goldberg's match, and I was only off by 2 minutes. Yeah, and so, but you take his entrance, and I'm not bashing his entrance. It's needed, but there is that now that it's. He's always on every show. They do need to find some creative ways of maybe not show. We don't need to see the whole darn entrance every time, because it takes up so much time. That time right there is enough for a whole match. And I believe that just taking him out of the picture for one episode allowed them to fill and actually use and bring out these new stars that are, recently drafted to SmackDown. And in my opinion, I 100% believe that the reason why he wasn't on the show was because they needed that time for that beatdown on Sasha Banks, because I don't think they told the girls, oh, you only have this X amount of time. And I mean, I think they wanted to let it be a little more fluid, so with the crowd reaction and all that. And she hit it out of the park. They had the time allotted to do it. Hey, I can see Roman Reigns again next week, or he could put out a tweet and just do the same thing he could do,
Yeah, it was one of those omissions from a show that you really notice. And it was, I did end up feeling like I missed the guy, even though I love to hate him and I would boo him. I wouldn't cheer him, because I think he's cool. No. I would give him the respect he deserves. And I mean that by booing the hell out of him. And that's how, if you want to respect Roman Reigns, boo the hell out of him, because by the way, this may be your one and only heel run from Vince for Roman Reigns to do, because Vince after this is going to have the brightest eyes and the most just wacky ideas about his babyface run when it does happen. It will happen. So guys, boo him while you can and while you should. That said, this was a massive omission from SmackDown. Did it hurt the show? I mean, I don't think it hurt the show, but it didn't add anything. Obviously, I think that having Roman not there it did feel like something was missing, because Roman has been such a staple and the face of SmackDown for a year and a half now, that it was like, oh, that's right, where's Roman? But if they don't have anything for him to build to Survivor Series, and it doesn't seem like they even mentioned Survivor Series, like it was just like they don't even know where they're going next, and it is Survivor Series in 3 weeks. That's not too long of a time. Did they even mention Survivor Series, by the way, on the show? I didn't hear that once.
Is it really 3 weeks away?
Yes, November 21st.
Wow, that's how much I don't care about it.
See? Yeah.
Because I agree with you on that, but unless they have a story, I just don't buy into. I don't want to see any of my champions take L's. I think it's absolutely stupid to have your champions take L's. And that's all I feel comes out of that. But think about it this way. They got you. I think they did exactly what they meant to do. They made you notice and miss Roman Reigns.
Yep.
Just by because sometimes you have a wrestler, take time off, months off, and then they make this big surprise return. All he had to do, he's doing so good. All he needed was a day. One show to not be there, and eat, whether you love him, you hate him, you boo him, you cheer him. We noticed, and that's probably exactly what they meant to do.
And I think it had the intended effect. And if I was in attendance and I wasn't told beforehand that Roman wasn't going to be there, I'd be a little bit disappointed. And I'm sure the crowd was a bit disappointed in Mohegan Sun of like, hey, where the hell is Roman? He is the guy on SmackDown, the guy in the company right now. So, but what did you?
The crowd in the stadium, they actually got to see him.
Oh, they did.
Yes, he did a dark match.
Oh, okay. I was not aware of that. I'm glad that's good. Okay, so they did get their fill of Roman. That is a good thing. But here's my question: what did you think about Paul Heyman and Kayla Braxton? They have such good chemistry. I mean, my God, I love their chemistry on screen. What did you think about what he had to say regarding what Brock Lesnar would do or what Roman Reigns would do? And then he started going into his Brock Lesnar promo voice and kind of stopped himself, realizing that he got caught up in it, and then said, basically, I got to go, leaving us to speculate more. What did you think about that whole thing?
All I can say is we are watching a future Hall of Famer, current Hall of Famer, in my opinion, one of the best promo men in the absolute business. Oh, hands down, like him and MJF. I'm like, wow, it is amazing what they do. And I thought it was beautiful. And it's so nice because I think the thing that really kind of put Paul Heyman over with his promos, I mean, he's always been good with the Brock run and all that. But Kayla Braxton, she's been one of my favorites in the company for years. She's one of the rare, professionals, in the business that I follow on, social media and whatnot. She's just so much fun to listen to and watch and all that. But that is Paul Heyman's nemesis. That's his counterpart. I think it's beautiful that, that they were able to get these two back together, because I actually would watch Talking Smack every weekend. I looked forward to it. Ever since Kayla Braxton and Paul Heyman are off of it, I haven't watched it once. because I would watch it just for them two, because I've watched her grow into such an amazing. I mean, she was awkward at first and early on in her career, but her and Paul Heyman, I can watch them. I look forward to it every week. Just her sneaking up at it. As soon as you at the opportune time, she always sneaks up, and she's grown so much that she almost helps put Paul Heyman over, even though he could usually just do it on himself. But it's so much better when he has a counterpart. And I think Paul Heyman nailed it. I really enjoyed the promo. I liked the fact that I was sitting here with my friend watching the show, and he was like, "Nope, yep, he's on Roman's side." Like, he was convinced. I'd watched it already, but he was convinced that he was on Roman's side. No way around it. I was like, yeah, just wait for it. And I love the way that he's kept himself on the fence. He's kept this story. This is one of the quietest, yet still one of the main. It's part of the main storyline, but it has been every week. You just don't know. I mean, there is arguments for one side, there's arguments for the other side, and it causes us to do exactly what we did off air, really speculating, where they're going to go from there, where's he going to go? What happens? I've heard you talk about, and speculate the ideas, bringing them together, or are they going to have a feud, or is he going to go one way or the other? And that's why that storyline is doing so well, because they are hitting every single point. And I don't believe that Roman or Brock, for that matter, would be knocking this out of the park for so well without Paul Heyman. And he's the glue to this storyline. And A+ on his promo for that. I love it when he slips into his Brock Lesnar. I love it. Now, it's gotten to the point that every time I say Brock Lesnar in conversation, I do say it like Paul Heyman.
I hear you. Yeah, when I say Brock Lesnar, just the way I say it right now, it doesn't feel like I'm giving him the due respect that he deserves, and put a little respect on his name, right? Like, that's what it feels like. But the other part of this, not only Paul Heyman is continuing to just be masterful, keeping us on the fence, and him catching himself going into the promo style of Brock, is Adam Pearce, and he fined Brock Lesnar $1 million. And it seems as if Adam Pearce now and Sonya Deville have really dove headfirst into a heel role now. Now, he's not, adversely or very just explicitly being a heel, abusing his power. But when's the last time that they fined anybody $1 million? I can't even remember in storyline the last time they did that. Usually it's like $100,000. They fined Brock Lesnar $1 million, of course, in storyline. And Adam Pearce said that will never happen again, that I deserve the respect. I put everything I have into this company. And he's trying to almost get himself over a little bit, but boy, the crowd was booing the hell out of him, which I think was the intended response. There can't be a match between Brock and Adam Pearce in the future. I mean, if there is, it's going to be a squash. So what is this leading to? I mean, eventually Brock is going to come back. We know that. What do you think this is all going to culminate in between Brock and Adam Pearce?
Well, I think in a lot of my opinion, I really feel like Adam Pearce arrived this week. The Adam Pearce that, because I've never really been all in. I'm right there with you. The managerial, not the managerial, but the executive roles that him and Sonya Deville play. Like, it's really, sometimes it doesn't even seem necessary, because you don't know where they're at. And I actually don't believe that. I mean, Sonya Deville, yeah, she's healed, but she's also preparing to get back into the ring. So she needs to, solidify herself as a heel or babyface as she goes back. Adam Pearce, I felt like he. In storyline purposes, I felt like he was professional. And I felt like he was, that's what a boss would do if something like that, I'm not saying that, at McDonald's, I mean, they're probably calling the cops, but, that's the way, an executive should be acting. And I like the fact that he stayed at home to do that promo. And, because I felt like it really hit harder. Because he's kind of a goofy looking dude to me sometimes. So it's kind of hard to take him seriously, but, he was able to do that promo, recorded, and actually really, that they get a chance then to clean it up or retake or whatever. But I really felt like he nailed that promo. And I mean, Brock Lesnar is the only one you can find $1 million, because he's the only one you believe has $1 million just laying around somewhere. But I think the real reason why he's stepped into the storyline in this Brock and Roman storyline is because Brock isn't going to be on every show. He's only contracted for a certain amount of shows, certain amount of appearances. And that's this time around with Brock, because I was a Brock hater with him in the Roman run. Even though Roman wasn't a great babyface either, I hated it when Brock Lesnar had the title. Absolutely hated it. Because, hey, he wasn't around. The title's not being shown, so you'd have weeks on end where there was nothing with the title, because Brock's only there, contracted for a certain amount of shows. But this time around, the suspension, perfect. The fine, okay, cool, I'm with it. Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman cutting promos. You don't have. They're keeping Brock Lesnar in your mind and in your attention without him having to be there every week. And that's something they weren't able to do before, to our delight. Because I mean, it's crazy hearing Brock Lesnar get cheered the way he gets cheered now, and, because I was always, just a straight boo. I mean, I'm not saying he was on Goldberg level where I just did not want him on my television. But, this time around, I'm enjoying Brock Lesnar. I'm enjoying everything he's done. I'm enjoying him in the storyline. But the biggest thing is I think they're doing a very good job of filling the gaps that they have to fill, because we all know Brock is not going to be there every week. And I honestly, I think it's beautiful. This whole storyline, this whole Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and everybody involved. I don't know anybody that's dropping the ball. The Usos, Roman, none of them have dropped the ball, and that's something that I haven't seen in a long time. Is we seem to be conditioned now to WWE, doing something right for 5 minutes and then be like, oh, hey, what about this? And then Vince McMahon rewrites the script. They throw what they think will put smiles on people's faces, and crap. I mean, look at Liv Morgan. Okay. But so this is being done well. And there's gotta be a lot of credit that goes to the writers on this one. Creative. We never give them props really, because they're not usually doing the best job all the time. But on this one, man, there's nothing. I don't have any negative about this Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns storyline in any way, shape, or form. Everybody is doing their job, and they're doing it well.
I cannot remember in my maybe one time in my entire my entire fandom of watching wrestling, that there has been such consistency. That's the big key word here. Like, good storylines come and go in short bursts. I can't remember the last time, other than maybe Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon, that whole brilliance in the late 90s that panned out. But I can't remember outside of that, the storyline that was just so well done for so long like this. And I'm not saying it's as successful as Stone Cold and Vince, but my point is that its longevity and its consistency in being effective is really mind-boggling. And it's crazy that since August of 2020, when Roman returned as a heel at SummerSlam, we've been talking about it since. They have not made one misstep. I mean, like, there hasn't been 1 week where I'm like, man, they really screwed Roman this week. This doesn't make sense. What are they doing? Not once. Once. It's amazing the job that they've done with Roman and this whole storyline, and Brock, and really anybody that they've brought in, whether it was Kevin Owens or Cesaro, whoever it may be, John Cena. They have made everybody coming out of that look a little bit better. You can make an argument for Cesaro or Kevin Owens, of course, but in general, they have done an excellent job. The longevity and consistency of this storyline is something we may not see again for quite some time.
Right. I 100% agree there. I literally, this is the story that every SmackDown, I find myself waiting for it. Just like that's the reason why him being gone this week, we all have had so many weeks and so long now. We're waiting to see what's going to happen with Roman. Like, what's he going to do now? What's Brock going to do? What's the Usos, the ones? Like, what's going to happen? And for him to not be there, like I said, they did their job, and they're doing exactly what they need to do. And consistency, yeah, that is the word. That is absolutely the word.
Well, on the flip side, as we talk about the officials, which essentially is just another rebranding of the commissioner or the GM role or whatever. I mean, they're all just the same type of authority figure. Is Sonya Deville, who continues to screw with Naomi, and I will say I'm actually really high on this storyline because it started off where she was ignoring Naomi, and we all knew that okay, what's happening here. Some people speculated a match may come out of it. Others didn't. And we eventually will get there, but we keep having this disrespectful Sonya Deville she hasn't told us why she has a grudge against Naomi yet. Maybe we'll find out. But she continues to screw with her. She continues to get the one-up on her, refereeing her match this week with Shayna Baszler, the insanely fast quick count, refusing to count Shayna Baszler's shoulders down, and then, of course, the Karafuda clutch gets locked in at the end of the match, and she has yet to get her hands on Sonya Deville. I think this is just a nice, really fun secondary storyline in the women's division that doesn't have to do with the championship, which is always nice.
I'm sorry, I can't agree. This is one I can't agree on.
All right, cool, go for it.
Because the main reason, too long. Too long. Like I was in on the beginning, but get the story going. Like, can we get this story moving? Because I feel like it's just been the same thing every week. They haven't progressed. In my opinion, I mean, they had a great idea. I agree with the idea. With her having an issue with Naomi, and kind of holding her down the whole 9 yards. But to me, it's been the same thing week after week after week. And at some point, in the beginning, there was a couple weeks there where a lot of us fans were just so excited to see Sonya Deville return to the ring, and now they've waited so long to get to that point of the story that I've already started paying attention to other things. I'm already checking out. And then the second part of this is, and I think actually this is where you will agree with me. I do not want to see Shayna Baszler put over Naomi. Period.
No.
Not at all.
No.
I'm right there with you. Breaking arms. Tap, nap, or snap. Thank you, Nia Jax. Which I will just put this out there. Nia Jax is 100% my most go away heat female wrestler in the business. Period. I have no want or anything to see her on TV in any way, shape, or form. I don't respect her as a wrestler. None of it. And her with Shayna Baszler for so long, I felt like was holding Shayna back for a very long time. So once she got free of Nia Jax, woo, okay, because Shayna Baszler is a certified bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I can say. PG, bad butt. She's a bad butt. Okay, but I really wanted to see her used because I feel like she's underutilized. And I know that's a common theme amongst the women wrestlers, but that's my problem with this storyline. It's not that I wasn't in. I was, but you got to keep this story going. And to me, it's that it doesn't have the consistency. And it doesn't have, it's just not popping to me anymore because they're taking too long for me to get there. I believe that Sonya Deville should have been in the ring by now. Even if she came in and just squashed the absolute crap out of Naomi, that'd be fine. I'm cool with whatever, but that's why I just can't. I'm already finding myself checking out and taking a Lunchable break during these promos.
Lunchable. That's a nice, yeah. Boy, I miss those. I used to eat those in high school or middle school. Middle school was more of my Lunchables. Those of you that don't know what Lunchables are, don't look at the nutrition facts. Just eat it.
No, just go get one. It's
yeah, exactly. But that said, I get it. Like, you feel that this is just taking too long. Let's just get to the damn match. I get that. And if you are one that doesn't have patience for this, then you are somebody that you're just like, all right, I'm done with this. Let's just take a quick break and I'll get to the next segment. I get that. But at the same time, I guess I like things that are easier to follow. This is extremely easy to understand. Doesn't require a whole lot of thinking. It's just, okay, this woman is disrespecting this woman. She's in a position of power. She is abusing that power by putting herself as the referee, saying she's going to be in a match with her, and then doesn't. And she has a crony of Shayna Baszler here. Now, I'm with you, though. Shayna Baszler, if she should not ever, and under any circumstances, lose to Naomi. If you're telling me that basically Naomi's backside to Shayna Baszler's face is going to be the finish of the match, I mean, I don't know what world I'm living in. I mean, Shayna Baszler is a legitimate, credentialed, badass woman that needs to snap people's arms. And she started. It was very encouraging. She started by snapping Nia Jax's arm. She snapped Eva Marie's arm. I'm like, all right, here we go. Yes, let's do it. And then they just kind of stopped out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh no. They were all about it, and then they stopped. I'm like, oh, what are they doing? I will say, while it's not the exact Shayna Baszler I want right now, of just being kind of a crony for Sonya Deville, more of a pawn for her, it's better than her being in a tag team. Like, almost anything's better than Shayna Baszler being in a tag team with Nia Jax. So I will take this every day, twice on Sunday, if it means the alternative is being in a tag team, of which, by the way, the women don't have a tag team division right now. Like, they have none, zero. They have tag champions and nobody to contend them. That's another conversation. That said, I really, really enjoy. I do. I mean, you're not on board with this. That's cool. I know a lot of other people probably are and aren't. I feel like this one would be split amongst our listeners, and that's what wrestling's about. It's all subjective. I like it because I know what the payoff's going to be. It's eventually going to be Sonya Deville taking a pinfall from Naomi, and I'm okay with that. But I also want Naomi, or rather Sonya Deville, back in the ring full time. I don't want her in this ridiculous suit. I want her in the ring and on the mic, showing how good she can be, because she is really good. I don't need her in a position of authority at all, which we were never told how she got in the first place anyway. So.
I'm 100%. I guess just to put a pin in it. After that's what's beautiful about talking wrestling with somebody else, and that's why I listen to all these podcasts, because like I said, I'm talking. You obviously don't answer me because you're in the Alexa, but sorry, can't say that word in my house. Yep.
That's right. Now you can't say that. Yeah, activate some stuff. Yeah.
Funny story is I actually have to mute her when Miss Bliss is on TV, because it makes it go haywire. But anyways, after listening to what you have to say, and whatnot, like I know exactly what checked me out of the storyline, and it's because I don't have faith in WWE not jobbing out Shayna Baszler for the sake of the storyline, and that's why I'm out. Because if Shayna Baszler is, the minute Shayna Baszler got involved in this, I was like, oh no, because we had weeks of seeing that progression. I'm right. I was listening to you, and I was just as excited with her snapping arms and getting people off television. I'm like, yes. And then they put her in this storyline, and I'm like, there's a bunch of other girls back there you could have probably used for this. And I feel like it stalled Shayna Baszler's whatever she's supposed to be doing or whatnot, and I just don't think it was a good move. I'm scared. Yeah, I'm scared for Shayna.
Let me say this: if they sacrifice Shayna Baszler and Naomi beats her clean because she is the crony for Sonya Deville, then I'm out. Like, check me out, because there's no need to sacrifice Shayna here. I mean, none. This is between Sonya and Naomi, and I still want to see Sonya back in full time. And if Naomi beats Sonya like fair and square, I can live with that, But Shayna Baszler is another caliber of talent that you should not beat cleanly unless there's a special circumstance one-on-one. So, all right, let's move on to another match here. And guys, as you all know, we do focus a little more heavily on SmackDown. While we have Michael Ritter, who does an excellent job covering SmackDown, I don't get to give my opinions about it until I get to this show, and we've already done a full Monday Night Raw review. So don't worry, we will talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw, but this is much more focused on SmackDown just because we haven't got a chance to talk about it. So that said, what did you think about the holiday-themed trick or street fight? I keep saying trick or treat street fight. It's trick or street fight with Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss against Shinsuke and Rick Boogs.
Rick Boogs, man. Rick Boogs. I mean, I could watch Rick Boogs for a while, man. I enjoy Rick Boogs in every way, shape, or form. And he's grown on me, you know. I mean, he got me with his entrance and all that. But then the minute that man stepped in the ring, woo, boy, I'm all in on Rick Boogs, all in, and I think it's beautiful pairing him with Shinsuke Nakamura. And to be honest with you, when the match was going on, me and my friends really just sat here, and I was like, we were trying to make a bet on who was going to get smashed with the pumpkin. Like that's all I was looking for. That's all I was waiting for. And you know, it didn't really fully happen. I feel bad at the end of the match when I don't remember who it was. They got slammed down for the finishing move. You know, I can't see my notes here right this minute, but I felt bad that the pumpkin didn't smash, because that's what was supposed to happen. Yep. But you know, I mean, I talked about this on the AEW thing, you know, and this is one of the few shows of the year where I'll give them a pass. You know, it's Halloween. I know we're gonna get something themed. I know it's going to be a little corny and a little fun, but, you know, I didn't think this was all that bad. And I feel like this match did exactly what it was supposed to do, just to give you something for Halloween. It got them in the ring and had them, you know, gave them TV time. So, you know, ultimately, I really didn't have any problem with it. I mean, the name's horrible to say, you know, but I was okay with it, you know, because I like to watch Rick Boogs.
Well, then you found something that you liked about it. I mean, I'm a big fan of Nakamura. Rick Boogs, I think, is like, I'm still trying to find my way about him. I don't love him. I don't hate him. I'm just kind of like, all right, he helps Nakamura. I'm a little bit less high on him, but I'm not down on him. So that said, though, this match, yeah, look, I hate this kind of crap with WWE. Like, everybody know. I mean, that's just me. Of course, my opinion doesn't mean more than anyone else's, but I am not a fan of this kind of silliness that's, I guess, targeted towards a 5-year-old to 10-year-old audience that finds this kind of stuff funny. I mean, I it's to me just a complete exposure of the business. It's silly time. It's like, it's clowns and rainbows, and it's basically like a child's version of wrestling is the way I look at this kind of stuff. Whenever they do like the 4th of July, like they've done food fights not every 4th of July, but a lot of food fights on 4th of July, Memorial Day, same thing. They've done turkey gravy bowls, so look out for Thanksgiving. I mean, that'll be the next thing. This got Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard's fingerprints all over it, thinking that it's funny or entertaining. I don't. I mean, that said, I wasn't sitting there seething. Like, it wasn't the worst thing I've seen in the world with WWE. At least they didn't have, like, you know, goblins and ghouls and zombies come out and take it to the nth degree. But they did have bobbing for apples, and they had pumpkins and like all the stuff that you'd expect to see, you know. And it was, to me, just a kind of sigh and eye roll moment. I didn't like it at all. It was it's not for my audience, but I don't really know what audience you're serving here. I have no idea who's sitting there like knee slapping, laughing at this. I don't know, but somebody had to get a pumpkin on the head, and it was Shinsuke. So
the most impressive part of the match, I don't know if you caught it. I mean, because I honestly, as soon as the screen came up and I saw all the pumpkins on the ring, I looked at my homie and I was like, "Oh, Matt's not happy." Like, I knew what he mean. I say that all the time. I love it when they say. That's why, like, when I do my mailbag, I try to replace cuss words with the words that you hate so much. You know, roll up, holy momentum, things like that. Because I mean, that's not going. I absolutely love it. I think it's absolutely great because I actually agree. But the greatest spot in that match was impressive. On what's Corbin's buddy's name again? I always forget it.
Madcap Moss.
Okay, when he got his head into the apples, he got one.
He got one. Yes. Yeah.
And he got one quick. I know it was probably gimmicks, but you know, I mean, you just put a little rod in there and you put an apple on it so you can grab it. But that was impressive to me. That was a great sell. And to be honest with you, you know, for the whole match, my ultimate review of it was the bobbing for the apple spot. That's it.
Which is what that was actually like a spot that got built up. Like, the crowd was waiting for somebody to get their head dunked in water with apples. Like, everybody wanted to see that, it seemed like. And yeah, like, I mean, he came up with the apple and I saw that and I'm like, all right, well, that's not easy to do. So if he did that legit, like, you know, good job out of you. And we don't forget, we also had the 24/7 single file run in that happened in the middle of this match.
No, we didn't. That didn't happen.
Yeah. Reginald, by the way, is like go gadget legs. I mean, I don't know how the hell he does what he does it looks like he's wearing business slacks. I don't know how the hell he does it. This guy is insane. And then at the end, don't forget too, we got Garza and Carrillo, who ended up involving themselves in this match, screwing over Nakamura and Boogs. So anything on that?
I was all in on that, to be honest. And I actually met Reggie down in Vegas. Real nice guy. He is a picture of his character. I mean, he is just a joy to be around. I was trying to take a picture of us. I accidentally had it on video. He gave me some crap for it, but he's a really, really cool dude. And the only thing that I really don't like about what they're doing for him is you don't see it on TV, but it would be annoying to see live is hearing Pat McAfee and all of them sell him jumping into the ring and doing that big jump out of the ring and then bouncing again, just incredible amount of, they're putting a springboard right there. Like it's a springboard. I know it's a springboard.
I was going to say, yeah. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
It's just a little. I want to see Reggie wrestle. I've the very few times I've seen him in the ring. I want to see that style. I'd like to see what he can do. And at first I was all. I thought it was really great. For him getting the 24/7 title, which in my opinion, I think that title should be changed. I think it should be changed to a TV title. Television title, where anytime you're on TV, you have to defend it. Not in this, anywhere, anytime, any place thing, just actual match, because then you can have it on either brand. It can move around. But that's what I think they should do with it, because after R-Truth, really dropped out of the picture. That's kind of where I've started dropping out, because I will always remember the 24/7 title as being him. Being his, just like I think of King of the Ring as being King Booker, but yeah, I'm with you. As soon as it started coming in, Lunchable break, okay, because I was like, yeah, this is, and the last thing I'll say about the 24/7 title that really, really gets under my skin is Cesaro. Cesaro does not deserve to, in any way, shape, or form, to be in that group of wrestlers at all.
Look where Cesaro was just a few months ago, main eventing a pay-per-view with Roman Reigns, where people believe, and I was one of them, that there's a small chance he could actually beat Roman Reigns for the championship, to relegating to basically an afterthought in single file line chasing. Yeah, it's a fall from grace. That there's no other way to say it. It's a massive fall, off a cliff. For Cesaro, but that's how he does. I mean, they look at Cesaro as a guy that can do anything. He can be anybody they need him to be. He can be a babyface. He can be a heel. He can wrestle great with anybody. He's just this jack of all trades, and he's not involved in anything currently. So yeah, they're like, hey, yeah, go ahead and be part of that nonsensical single file line, like they're going into school, lining up for I don't know, whatever. But anyway, so. Let's jump into a different topic here on SmackDown. Drew McIntyre has his open challenge, and I gotta say the after the match stuff was more interesting to me than the in match stuff. Which, by the way, Mustafa, I keep saying Mustafa, but they somehow at some point morphed it, and maybe him and Omos are having some kind of meeting of the minds of like, hey, you want to screw with people with our names? Let's let them pronounce it. Let's let them figure it out. And if we apparently did land on Mustafa at one point, it was Mustafa, and I don't know when it changed, but let's go with Mustafa because that's what he said. But the match I think was fine. It was good. What do you expect from two professionals? I think it was just fine. And we got a new, at least in my mind, a new finish for Drew, which was the what was it? Well, it was a submission. The Kimura. That's what he used. He used the Kimura to finish this match. We had Ali tap, and then at the end where we had Drew going up the ramp, this is where things got a little bit. It's an interesting choice of words by Ali, given the state of 2021 politics, and and the state of things, it's a pretty risky thing to say. Well, he didn't outright say what we all know. It was definitely implied. But that was, to me, more interesting than the match itself. But what'd you take about all this?
Okay, yeah, this is actually the only real notes that I took because I really wanted to touch the subject. So Mustafa is his name. That is how it's pronounced, Mustafa. And there was months back. It was months back. He cut a promo, and I mean I have to go back and find out where it was. But I never forgot it, and I've always said his name correctly since then. But he actually, it felt a little bit based in realism, and we agree that I love it when a little bit of realism is in to your character. And he went off on one of the announcers one day on mispronouncing his name. But then you fast forward to what happened, and I thought this was an epic piece. I thought that it is on that borderline controversial. It is a little edgy, but at the same time, I don't have that anywhere else on the show. So hey, I'm with it. But the way he came out, and took that beating, and Mustafa, I've always wanted to see him, in a bigger role because I mean we all know he had a push. He was supposed to be on a big push. An injury happened, and Kofi Mania was the direct result of that. And ever since then, let's not even talk about Retribution. Like that's a whole episode on its own. Yeah. But Mustafa is a absolutely amazing performer in my opinion. I actually put him over Ricochet because Ricochet still needs to learn how to sell a move. But Mustafa, when he said that and he came out and he says, I mean, in so short words, the only reason why you boo him or cheer him and boo me is because my name is Mustafa Ali. And I thought he hit it. I thought that was one of the best promos he's ever done. That was a promo that, whether it's a work or a shoot, it don't matter. It felt real to me. And I really did notice, I kind of noticed it coming a little bit before it happened because Pat McAfee was selling how to pronounce his name correctly over and over and over again throughout that match. And it was very noticeable, and I appreciated it because consistency, if you're going to go down this road, and like I said, I saw this storyline really kind of happen months ago. And to see this, starting to come to fruition, the way I look at it is he is an amazing in-ring performer. And he is, of a certain ethnicity that he's proud of, and whether it's character or real. And I think it's absolutely disrespectful. And I've noticed that, I've gotten irritated on TV when I would, like you're talking about, hearing them pronounce his name differently. Every time someone would say Mustafa, I would literally look at the screen and be like, it's Mustafa. Like, come on, that's his name. And it's pronounced that way. And I feel like that's the respect that he deserves. Because he does incredible work. He does amazing promos, and he's been there just toiling and doing the work for so long. I feel like he does deserve that respect to have his name pronounced correctly. And I know I may be I may be looking too far into it. Yeah. But that's where really what I came down on, especially after that promo in that episode, because I've heard it on a lot of all different podcasts. People don't know how to pronounce his name. Omos, that's a whole different one. Like they've really messed that one up. Nobody knows how to pronounce his name correctly. But in this instance, there is a specific way to say his name, and I choose to 100% use that correct pronunciation out of respect for that professional wrestler that I am getting entertainment from, that is working and putting his body on the line in every single match. I mean, he took a beating. He took a beating from Drew McIntyre. I mean, he sells like no other. I compare him to Sasha Banks on how well they can sell. And I thought it worked perfectly. He got the full on beat down.
he cut off the commentators, so it was like almost like it felt unplanned. So it felt like it was, a spontaneous moment. And the way he cut that promo, I believed him. And because that's what I love about wrestling. I mean, we all know that, scripted, it's shot and this and all that and the other thing. But that's why we watch wrestling, is because they get us when they get us emotionally invested, when they get us to have a reaction to what they're doing. And that's exactly what he did for me in that moment. I felt for him. And I will always, from that, I've done it for a while, but I will always use his correct pronunciation of his name. And I will always, correct other people, friends of mine when I'm sitting watching. I'm like, and I'll explain to them why. And as soon as I explain, what his name actually is and how it's kind of gotten to here, they're like, oh, okay. And then they watch his match and they're like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm going to put some respect on his name, Mustafa Ali.
Well, there you have it. The score has been settled with what his name is and how it's pronounced, and now it's Mustafa. And if you screw it up or you think you're going to screw it up, I just say Ali. Like, Ali is pronounced Ali. There's no other way to pronounce it. But that said, maybe Omos should just do what Mustafa did, and hey, just say your name in some way, shape, or form. Use your name. I don't care if you use it in the third person, so you can clear up all this debate. The announcers, the interviewers, AJ, everybody has said it every different way. So just stop all the madness and have Omos actually say it himself so we can end the debate. But look, Ali is really I think talented on the mic. We saw that, and I know we're not going to get into the Retribution group, but while he was their brief leader, I think that there was something there with him on the microphone as their leader. He has shown that he can talk, and he can talk pretty damn well. And I think that this is the start of something for him, clearly, that he is going to be, I hope not taking like a racial road to this, but we've seen this before. This isn't the first time. If you skipped wrestling during the mid 2000s, Muhammad Hassan, who basically ran on the fact that you guys hate me because of the way I dress, of the way I look. If he's going to, and he was an Arab American in storyline anyway, he wasn't in reality, but he looked like an Arab American. And he crapped on the crowd because he said that they didn't like him because of the way he looked and my name and everything. And it seems like they're going that kind of road, although in 16 years removed from 2005, it's a much different political and more hostile environment. So WWE needs to be very careful about bringing in any kind of racial or bias or any stuff that may not belong in wrestling, because that's why we watch wrestling, is to get away from all the stuff that we see in the news and everything and social media. So I'm fine. I'm cool with this. I'm interested to see where it goes, and maybe that's the point. But if his whole shtick is going to be around people having, I guess, unconscious bias against me because of my name, I mean, that's a cool place to start. It's got people talking, which is what you and I are doing right now, but it's a dangerous road to travel if you're going to take this all the way. I'd be very careful if I was WWE in today's environment. It's not the same as it was, 15, 16 years ago when they did this before with an Arab American. I know he's not Arab American, but that's the analogy I'm drawing. So I guess in closing to this, Drew put a hell of a beat down on him. I think that this is a good start for Ali Mustafa to have a launching pad to kind of rebirth his career into a place that people actually talk about him on a weekly basis, because he can go in the ring. He's got a good look and he can talk. I mean, that's what you're looking for. And I think this could be an opportunity for him to finally get a little more spotlight. So did you have any final thoughts before we move on this?
No, yeah, I 100% agree. And, I by the way, that other guy, totally missed that.
Yeah, go check it out.
I missed that, but I also got to miss, I never saw John Morrison.
Oh, you never did? That's hilarious.
I never saw John Morrison. I never saw him. I didn't miss anything because it's the same damn thing right now.
It's a rerun. Yeah, it's a rerun. You're seeing the same thing. Yep.
But I don't like ethnic characters. I don't, because it is, first of all, what you said, it's a slippery slope. Let's take Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal, can I get a character from him now? It's been so long. Can I get an actual character from him instead of
an ethnic character, and then Apollo Crews. I mean, that was a little different. He changed into it, but then that seemed to be all it became. I mean, ever since the Nation of Domination, I feel like they've always tried to get back to that, and that's why, like in the draft, I was a huge fan of what's his name with who are the two guys? Not Shanky or Banky or whatever his name is. The other guy, Veer. I was really, really hoping during the draft that he would get split up, because I didn't want to see him stuck in this ethnic stereotyped character, because that man, that's a future champion in my opinion. Veer is just mind blowing to me what he's able to do in the ring and how believable it is. But like I said, I'm not a big fan of ethnic characters that are just based specifically on that, and especially in today's day and age, because I mean, come on, like if I really want that and I really want to look at that, I can go watch the news. I can go to Facebook. Okay, I don't need it, and I feel like it's a lazy creative. I feel like it's really lazy. Oh, you look like you're this from this area, this ethnicity. So let's go ahead and center your whole character around it. No, I mean Jinder Mahal, if he would just do a real character, the only real character I think we saw from him was in 3MB, but he went right back to this, with the turban, just everything's ethnic, and I don't need it, because it's lazy to me. This is a different world. And, any break that we can have from our world, I'm taking it.
Yeah, that's it. That's why we watch TV. That's why we watch movies. That's why we watch any form of entertainment, sports in general, and sports entertainment. That is why we watch it. And when they start to bring in things that are political or a hot topic socially or culturally, I think that while there can be instances where it's useful to at least maybe just start something, you can't continue to use it, because it does kind of negate the fact of, or really, I guess, go against the fact. It's in contrast to why people watch your product to begin with, to escape from reality and just dive into the sandbox and play around in a place that doesn't really matter. And that's what wrestling is, and that's why we love it. But it's a place that's not real, but it's fun to be in. So, all right, let's get into Game of Thrones, which is basically what Xavier Woods did here, which was rip off essentially every phrase nearly from Game of Thrones. I don't know if you've watched it, but he took the king's hand, hand of the king. He took bend the knee. There was a couple other phrases that he took from Game of Thrones. I mean, that was straight from that playbook, and it's fine. I mean, it worked. Nobody has ever really used it in that context before, but it was very Game of Thrones-ish. And maybe that was the point. Very, 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 very popular show. So maybe that was the point of it as well. But again, this segment with him knighting Kofi Kingston. Look, you know what I'm going to say about this stuff. It's I am not a fan of course. You wanted to talk about Hit Row, the little bit of a interaction that they had backstage, and they're saying we are not worthy and bowing to him and things like that. But I'll let you take the details of this one first. What did you think about this whole segment?
Well, let's just start with Xavier Woods, and let's give him his positives. Mm-hmm. His look, like his facial expression, money. Like he has the stare and the gaze and the look of a king. He must have been practicing this for so long, because man, it's undeniable. The look on his face and the way he's presenting, hey, if that's what you're looking for, he's nailing that. But that's really where the positives stop, because I was a big I talked about on the mailbag. If this is a way to I want to see the crown go to his head. I want to see it go to his head to an extent that it turns him into almost a Mad Hatter type crazy character, and then ultimately turns him heel and gets him out on his own as a singles competitor. If that's what's happening, I'm all the way in. But I feel like the WWE does this a lot. They have a good. I mean, the meat is right there. The ingredients are right there. This is a stew. Throw the ingredients into a pot. Turn the heat up and just let it cook.
And that's not what they're doing. Like, I mean, you go back to his first appearance after winning it, he was going to have a decree, or he was, I don't know what he said. He was going to list his principles or this or that or the other thing, and then he didn't do nothing. I was like, what did someone forget a page on the script? Like, what's going on here? And then this last week, I get it. I'm cool with, the knighting of Kofi Kingston, because, we're putting the ingredients in the pot. Okay, I'm with it. I'll even give him a pass on the Game of Thrones references, because that's something that people know about, and it's just a way of connecting. And connecting the fan to the product that they're doing here, So, okay, all right. But come on, give me something now. It's been 2 weeks, even as we get into the match, I don't know where they're going with it, because they have gold in the speaker that is Xavier Woods. Now, give him something to chew on. Well, who's his adversary? Who's, if you're a king, then you have to have an adversary, right? Or if you're a mean king, you end up having your subjects uprising against you. What is it? Take the whole 24/7 troop and have them be your kingdom. Okay, if this is going to be that lazy and that childish and not thought through, well then, hey, let's just put all of the nonsense into a pile, and we'll put it on a YouTube show or a kickoff show, okay? Or put it on the part of SmackDown that gets edited out on the Hulu version, because I don't see anything happening yet. And the longer that they stall out to get to that point, or whatever point they may want to get to, people are already checking out. Like, it's the same thing with Big E. We're not going to fully dive into, my opinions on Big E so far, but like, I was such a big fan of him winning. Yes, awesome. I was there for the pop. Yes, okay. And ever since then, it's been lazy, and there hasn't been anything cooking. And so now, like, I'm literally one of those people that, as happy I am for, Big E, as happy as I am for Xavier Woods. And it's just coincidence that they're part of the New Day. I mean, I'm literally talking about them as two different people. But now I'm getting bored, and I'm starting to check out, because, WWE has there's one thing that they are consistent about, and that's inconsistency and slow storylines that they just end up dropping out of nowhere. And that's where I feel is going to end up happening with this if they don't do something soon, and that's where I'm at on that. Kofi or Xavier Woods, he has such a chance to do something amazing with this. I felt like he was the only one in that tournament that could win this, and even as a babyface, that could win this and do something with it, because that's what I feel that the King of the Ring it should be used for, is a platform and a starting point to reinvent your character, or to get you to the next level. If they're just going to go out there and do the pretending to be, I loved how they used to say, what, you out here playing dress up? Oh, and funny on that, when the Usos did ask if they were playing dress up, and they looked back and they were like, hey, you've been wearing the same clothes since like 2005. It was really funny to see Jimmy, I don't remember which one was, Jimmy or Jay. He's like looking at his shirts like right away. He's like, new merch, dog. New merch, dog.
Yep. That's I love that.
I laughed so hard with that. Like, there was some fun. I mean, those two. That's I think that's another reason why I started checking out, is because you and I both agree the Usos and the New Day, they can put on a 5-star match any day of the week. I've seen it 50 million times. It's not that it's not going to be good. It's not that it's not going to be something entertaining, but there's no reason for them to be back together or back around each other, because we just had the draft. We just had the draft. New matchups, right? New people, right? New storylines, new situations. I mean, that's what's happening, right? Like, am I wrong?
Yeah, well, that's the idea. The problem is they throughout the entire draft last year, they made so many excuses of why certain people are there and why it's only tonight. Oh, quarterly invitational. Oh, wild card rule. Oh, well, it's the Rumble. Oh, well, it's WrestleMania. Oh, it's Survivor Series. Oh, this is the one time a year. Oh, wait, we're not just going to explain how they're here. I mean, there's a zillion examples of them not sticking to their own rules, which is coming to bite them in the backside now, because you're looking at this going, wait, we've seen this 100 times. We've seen this just a few months ago. So it's like this is the repercussions, the consequences of when they make those decisions. It doesn't feel special when they bring teams together anymore, or singles competitors, because we've seen it a million times. Most matchups, not all, but we've seen a lot of different matchups that we would have been otherwise more excited if they just kept them apart. But that said, I think that the Xavier Woods thing is it's as babyface as it can be for a king. Like you started off saying that if this is going to ultimately end in a heel turn for Xavier, sign me up. If it's just going to be silly crap for the next 6 months and he's supposed to be the next Booker T successful career defining character change into a king, no, I'm not on board for that. But if this is a heel turn, hell yeah. But I have my doubts that it's actually a heel turn, given WWE's track record with the New Day, saying, to myself, that they've got to break them up. They've got to break them up. Then they just continue not to. The other problem is, which I've said a million times, is as much as we complain to creative and Vince about, my God, this has run its course, the fans continue to support it on a weekly basis with their voices and continuing to cheer it. So the people listening to this show that are cheering for this stuff, you guys are the problem, right? Like nothing like calling out your own audience. But no, I mean, really, that is really the other problem, is that the fans continue weekly, every single time they hear that New Day music. It's just like this instant knee-jerk reaction to cheer, and it's like, no, please, can we get away from that? So if WWE continues to hear that level of support, I would say to myself, why are we going to fix something that's not broke? For what, podcasters like myself, right? For the fringe fan that doesn't like this stuff, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this. I think it's just elementary garbage. But like you said, there is more to Xavier than what we're seeing, beyond the silliness of acting like 5-year-olds and getting paid millions of dollars to do it over the last 7 years. There is more to it, more to Xavier that we've seen before in the recent past with him and Hell in a Cell and Bobby Lashley. He's come close to contending for the WWE Championship. He's had really good matches. And it's nothing to do with him in the ring. It's all character-based, 100% character-based. I've got nothing against him otherwise. And so anyway, this match with the New Day and Usos, bringing it back full circle here, was exactly what you'd expect. I think it was only 9 minutes in this match, and it was fine. I mean, it was exactly what you thought you'd get, just a solid matchup with these two. And what did you think about the main event?
It was formula. Like when we say that this is the same thing we've seen so many times, it's not just, we're not just saying the characters and the wrestlers in the ring. I was watching that match, and I was calling it before things happened, because they've done so many matches together. You know how it's going to go. You know when they're going to do their when you see the double kick coming. You know when you get a super kick. We'll talk about that one day. But you know when you see the double super kick happen. You know that when they get on the corners for the first time, they're going to get knocked down. Like, I was literally calling that match. There was nothing in that match that was new. I'm not saying it wasn't good, but there was nothing in that match that was new. And so that's why I really felt like it was unnecessary. I felt like the whole show was solid, even with Roman being gone, was solid. But I feel like when they just, you know what? This is as far as we got written. This is good. You know what? Let's just throw these guys back in the ring and have them do a match for no reason. No legitimate, real reason for them to even be in the ring together. But hey, let's go ahead and do that. And because we know that they're going to put on a 5-star match. You keep giving me I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Johnny Depp goes into a restaurant and he orders the same meal at every restaurant. It's called Puerco Pibil. And he has it at one restaurant, and it's so good. It is the best he's ever had. So he then goes into the back, finds the chef that made it, and he takes him out. And he says he does that because, hey, it's so good that that's all you're going to expect at that point, I need to knock it down a peg so that way I got some room to work with. And that's where they're at with the New Day and the Usos is, hey, I've already gotten their 5-star matches, their 4-star matches. I've gotten them all. Now you're not bored. You can have the best thing in the world, but eventually you're going to get bored of it. And I think that's where I'm at.
And so that's why I always argue that emotional investment comes from great storytelling, not great matches. Great matches can be a byproduct and a nice bonus, but this is a perfect example where if somebody was truly only caring about the match quality and they only care about, I just want great 5-star matches, then you're not emotionally invested. You simply care about the superficial moves and holds and cool kickouts rather than an actual story. Like, this is exactly what part of emotional investment means, is great storytelling, deep characters, reasons for these 2 people or these 4 people in this case fighting. Just basic storytelling. And when you've seen everything that there is to see and squeezed all the juice out of this rivalry, there isn't much left other than, cool, okay, well, we know we're going to get a great match from these 4 professionals. It's going to be very sound technically. You're going to get some cool spots. You're going to get, like, you already know exactly what to expect, but you're not sitting there going, like, heart-wrenching loss, or you're sitting there, and calling your therapist for a Monday morning session about, like, hey, man, I can't handle the Usos losing. Nobody's doing that because nobody's emotionally invested in this anymore. So while you're going to get a great match, it's the emotional investment is at a level of 0 between these 2 teams, just because we've seen them so many damn times fight one another. So let's switch gears, though, because I think I covered everything on SmackDown. If I didn't, let me know. But on Raw, I want to ask you about Seth Rollins' victory, the biggest thing that came from Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins wins a contract to face Big E for the WWE Championship. What do you think about that?
Seth freaking Rollins. That I want to hear Paul Heyman do a promo for him or do an introduction for him because he deserves it. 100% all in, all my chips, the whole 9 yards. In my opinion, that's what Raw needed. Is they needed a Roman Reigns-esque villain heel on Raw, and wow. When you talk about all the time on how this is a combination of this is the best Seth Rollins we've ever had. And this is the first time where I saw a match, and I usually am behind Kevin Owens in this moment. I would usually be in Kevin Owens' corner in this moment, but I couldn't. I myself was conflicted. I was like, I can't, because Seth Rollins needs that win. Seth Rollins, I don't care, even if you just take it off of him for a little bit on Big E, even if it's just for a little bit, he needs to take that title off Big E, because Big E's reign, I mean, it's the shortness of his reign is not going to make a difference as much as the staleness of his character, or no, lack of character, is actually doing. And for this part, we're not even going to talk about the big ending. We all know. We've beat it to the ground. We know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've beaten it, killed it, and resurrected it again. Yeah, it's dead.
Yeah, the character is his championship reign is going to be forgettable at this point, and that's really sad. Because I always say, if you're going to put 2 people in a wrestling ring, it's not what they do in the ring. I need a reason why these 2 people are in the ring. And I want you to give me a reason on why I should feel like I should root for or boo one or the other. And Seth Rollins, he's a heel. And he's one right now where, I'm not booing him when I go to a live show, because I'm cheering him, and because he's a heel, because he's that good. When you get that far over, and Roman Reigns is having the same thing, people are cheering Roman Reigns out of respect. They're enjoying him as a bad guy, so they want to see him just keep stomping people, or what's he say, smashing them. But I'm all in on Seth Rollins. I thought the match was great. This was a awesome match. It was brutal. But the right person won. And if that pushes Seth Rollins, I do not want to see. That's where the inconsistencies come in, because I'm scared. I don't want, and I don't believe
that Seth Rollins can put Big E over. I don't think it would be believable. I don't think that it would be good for Seth Rollins' character, because bottom line is he shouldn't have lost that last match to Edge either. That was absolutely ridiculous. One of the most ridiculous decisions in the last few months was him losing that last match to Edge. Wasn't necessary. Didn't do anything for either character, and we're already forgetting about it. I mean, see how quick he jumped into another storyline and just brush off the whole fact he lost the Edge just a little bit ago. But no, he is on the top of his game with his work. He's on the top of his game in the ring. Everything about his character, whether you love it or hate it, that's what every little bit of his character is about. From the drip god, from the drip and the jackets and the laugh. I thought that I would hate that laugh in the beginning. Now I crack up every time I hear it, because he is on a level that I feel every professional wrestler tries to do that. I mean, that's the level they want to get to. And not everybody's there at one time or there for a long time. But right now, Seth Rollins is right there on that tier with Roman Reigns, in my opinion. He wouldn't be if he was on the same brand as Roman. But because they split them up, yeah, he's taken over. And I want to see him have the title, and then I want to see him run around with it for all the way to WrestleMania. That's what I want to see. I want to see him win the title and just run from matches, put it off, just be that off the hook, annoying, sniveling, just villain. And I think he can do it. I know he can do it. But really all matters if what WWE Creative really is trying to do is this to build Seth, and because him losing, you've said this before, Big E's best thing he could do to save his title run is to lose the title right now. Because then he can take from now to WrestleMania to chase the title, to overcome some obstacles. We're happy for him winning the title more for personal reasons than character reasons. I'm one of those people. I will admit that 100%. It did feel really good in a special part of my heart, and it did strike a chord. I'm a very, very proud African American, and I follow these wrestlers, for their personal, what they've done, as they've grown as wrestlers. And yeah, I had that moment with them, but that's the honeymoon phase. Okay, so honeymoon phase, cool. That's not a long time. You don't go on a honeymoon for a long extended amount of time. You do it for a little short amount of time and then get back to work. And that's what I feel that they have not done with Big E, is got back to work and given him anything to chew on. And here's Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, take that title off of him. Run around with it, creating havoc, just the whole 9 yards. And let's see Big E chase that title. And then, you know what? If he actually overcomes all that and Seth Rollins holds the title all the way to WrestleMania, that legitimizes his run. Then you have the makings. Like I said, that pot, you throw those ingredients in there, and there it is. There's one of the top matches that could be on a WrestleMania card. But if you don't do the work to get there, if you don't give me a reason and a story and get me emotionally invested, then yeah, it's not going to work. And so that's my opinion on that. Seth Rollins, A+. He deserves everything he's getting, and just get that title on him and get it. That's a title. And that's a moment, a title change, which I don't like title changes on television. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world, especially when you have 4 title matches every week. But that's one I can take. I can take that. If he had a random match with Big E on Raw and then just drop the title right there, I'm okay. Because then that means that we're getting somewhere. And if we don't get to an end point with Big E, at least us as the fan gets to still have some entertainment and enjoy what Seth Rollins' run as champion would be right now. Because I believe it would be one of the best in the company, just like Roman Reigns, if you gave it to him right now.
Wow, a lot to unpack there. Okay. I will say that if Seth ends up winning the championship, I think it's the best move that they could make, personally. You listen to the reaction that Big E's getting, and it's mild, lukewarm. It's just a nice pop. It's not a pop that you would expect from a guy that the fans have supported and said, hey, you're mistreating this guy booking wise. He's our guy. Damn it, just give him a chance. I.e. Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. Somebody like that, where there's just this grassroots, man, how is WWE not doing anything with this guy? And he finally give him an opportunity, and the fans explode, and then the wave continues. This is kind of like, okay, feel good moment. The guy's been here a while. He's a good performer. Not a fan of his character, but a lot of people enjoy it. And I understand the feel good part of this. I get that. But like you said, the honeymoon's over. The feel good moment is over. And now you're just left with regular big old Big E, right? That's who we've got. And he's still kind of hanging on to the New Day character. And people still are cheering for him, but it's not a reaction, again, that you would expect from a guy that we're supposed to believe the fans were behind all along, and they're just dying and to see him as champion, and are angry at creative like they were with Daniel Bryan and others. Like, that's not the case here. And I don't feel that the fans are like super behind Big E or would be so angry at WWE if they took the belt off him. Now, there is a case to be made of like, hey, if they have Seth beat him here, is that too soon? Because we haven't really given Big E a fair enough chance to see what a real run with him would look like. There is that case to be made. But the other case, the stronger case, I think, is the one you made with Seth Rollins really doing career work right now. He has found finally who Seth Rollins is through all the iterations of the sniveling corporate selection from the Authority to the Shield before that, to the kind of weird baby face that never worked, to the Messiah, to not sure. And now it's back to it's a hybrid of all. He took everything that worked with all of his characters and threw away the stuff that didn't, and that is who Seth Rollins is right now. And I agree that the loss to Edge in the Hell in a Cell match was a big loss. And as much as I love Edge, and I love Edge, that was a bad idea from a creative perspective. If you want Seth to be, at least in the minds of fans, like that next guy that could be the champion, Universal or WWE in this case. But that said, I do believe that Seth Rollins is a big threat to the championship from Big E. And if it's done on television, I don't care where it's done. I don't care if it's done on Twitter, where they just put something out that they had a match in the middle of the Performance Center and Seth Rollins is champion. I just want the belt off Big E. Like to me, it does not fit. It's like they're using the belt to make Big E instead of Big E trying to make the belt. I'm not a big fan of that at all with anybody. And Seth is on an absolute tear right now. It would be a fun time for Seth to carry that championship to WrestleMania. Like you said, bragging about it every week, just coming out being a total D-bag about it. And then having Big E and others chase him, and finally he catches up to him, and Seth gets what he deserves at WrestleMania. I know WrestleMania is 5 months and change out, but it's still not too early to start looking, and I'm with you on that.
Yeah, 100% on that.
All right, well, let's move on here. Let's see what else happened on Monday Night Raw. Oh boy, I'm trying not to talk about things that are. Let's see. Zelina Vega, might as well ask. I've already given my opinion on Monday Night Raw, but what do you think about Zelina Vega winning the Queen's crown and giving her, I guess, coronation address, doing the stereotypical "everyone's my subjects, I'm above everybody, and now I'm suddenly a queen"?
I feel like this should have been a great opportunity. Zelina Vega was the right pick. The only other pick that you had would have been Shayna Baszler, but you and I both agree that, and just by seeing what they've done with Zelina Vega, that it would have buried Shayna Baszler. Because Zelina Vega, I have always said she's one of the best speakers in the women's division, period. That's why I was really shocked. Well, not shocked. There's a real story on why she got released. But, bringing her back, I was really happy about that, really excited about that. And then seeing her go through what I would call, in my opinion, her punishment, and her taking her lumps and losing. I was like, okay, all right. But she's taking it. She's doing her job. She's putting in the work. She's putting in the time. and her being queen, I was like, man, this is perfect. But I expected, I guess I expected from her some originality, but we come to know that we should expect from WWE creative that stereotype, and I'm already out in a way, like I'm basically I'm out until further notice. Because everything that I was looking forward to with her, something that she's really big in is cosplaying. That's what she's. I actually have watched some of her Twitch. Back when she was on Twitch, because obviously she's not on Twitch anymore. But I watched some of her Twitch, and I've seen she does a lot of cosplaying, and I was like, wow, she could literally cosplay as all these different queens from anime, movies, this and that and the other thing. And then it's just like that Game of Thrones reference where it's subconsciously connecting you. It's connecting two things that a certain fan may like. If she dresses up as the Naruto character and you're watching wrestling and you're a fan of Naruto, that's gonna do something for you. And I really expected to see a lot of really neat outfits from her, but with how good she can talk and how good she can cut a promo, why aren't they using it? Because I haven't heard anything that out of her since she's won it that gives me any idea of originality. It just seems like they took the same script that they've used for the men for the last 6 years and they gave it to her. We're like, hey, just read these lines and you'll be good. And it's not working. It's not working. Because the Queen's Crown, that was a way of giving us a secondary storyline that doesn't have to do with the title. And that's why I think that should be used. But just like, Xavier Woods, they're dragging their feet. They're dragging their feet. Like, don't drag this out, because this is not a real hot storyline to start with. It's not something I'm really excited for to start with. So if you don't start giving me something that isn't something that I've seen 50 million times before, just like the Usos and New Day, I've seen it 50,000 times before. Brock Lesnar and Roman, I've seen that 50,000 times before, but now it's something new. Now it's something fresh. So I'm in. So that's where I'm at with Zelina. I still believe she is very, very underutilized. And I don't think that WWE Creative has any idea how to use her talents and use her attributes to the best. They don't put her in a position to succeed. I think they've tried to, but then they obviously, hearing these promos from her, then they just micromanage it and try to put her in a box. And it's just not exciting. I'm not getting invested, and this is something that I wanted to be invested in. I think that's why I'm irritated, because I wanted to be invested in Zelina as the Queen of the Ring, or Queen's Crown. But WWE just trashed and dropped the ball on that whole scenario. Like you and me were talking, Roman Reigns' entrance alone lasts longer than the whole Queen's Crown tournament. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, like I said, and I don't think that's hyperbole. I really believe literally that if you summed all of Roman Reigns' entrances during that tournament, I believe that it probably was longer than most of the matches. It's crazy, and it's really disrespectful of all the effort that they put in for the women and the women's revolution, all that, to just have a tournament it felt very secondary. It felt like it was rushed. It felt like an afterthought. And, Zelina Vega winning, agreed, was the right pick, but they have made a cookie cutter just character for Zelina Vega out of this. And that's, to me, not the right move. And it doesn't sound like you agree either. Like, I understand she's the evil witch of the women's division. Like, she comes off very evil. And I mean that in a complimentary way. She's got this just kind of presence about her that is, like, you don't trust her, and she's always got an agenda. She's all out for herself. But again, this is just so cookie cutter for her as a personality. There's more that you could draw out of her. We've seen it when she was the manager for Austin Theory and Andrade and Cien Almas. So we've seen this before. And it's just not, to me, what is the most that you can get out of Zelina. There is more, and maybe we'll get more. It's only been a week. She defeated Doudrop with her scepter. Again, very formulaic, but it makes sense. And she did pay her penance at the beginning of returning to WWE after she was let go, and she lost for many months. And so anyway, I think that there is more to gain from Zelina other than just playing a pretend queen week after week. And I mean, an actual championship, not a prop of just, by the way, naming the tournament the Queen's Crown. Why do we have to get cute? It's the Queen of the Ring. Why do we have to get cute about it? Did they not want to piss off Charlotte Flair? Like, because she's been calling herself the Queen for many years. Why did they name it the Queen's Crown? And why are we getting cute with the name? Anybody know?
No, nobody knows. I don't know. I will call somebody though. I will call David Meltzer.
Yeah. The official authority on such things. Yes. Oh God. Yes. All right. Well, one other thing on Raw I wanted to ask, and then I'll toss it to you if there's any other topics. And again, guys, I know there's many other things that happen on Raw. Carmella defeats Liv Morgan. Keith Lee. Notice I'm saying Keith Lee defeated Cedric. Austin Theory defeated Dominic. Dolph and Robert Roode defeated the Street Profits and Alpha Academy. So here's the one thing I want to talk about, and then I'll toss it to you. Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch had, I think, a really good promo. Now, their match for the Raw Women's Championship is happening next Monday, tomorrow night. And I think that they have some really good chemistry. And I have been so high on Bianca Belair that it's almost getting kind of stomach churning for myself of how high I am on her and how well she's done. And that I stand by the fact that she is the best NXT call-up of all time right now. And she is just killing it. Becky Lynch, to her credit, is also, I think, playing her part very well. I still don't know if she's a full-out heel. They haven't really made that very clear. Sometimes they do it, and then the crowd still cheers for her. Maybe the crowd's just refusing to go along with Becky ever as a heel. I don't know. But what did you think about Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch brawling here, and then eventually leading to their match tomorrow night?
I'm Team Becky. Like, we know this. I am Team Becky. And gosh, please, WWE, do something, because it's painful for me to say that I'm finding myself waiting and being more interested in other wrestlers and storylines. Like right now, I'm more looking forward to seeing Shotzi and what she can do than to see what they're going to do with Becky Lynch. I don't care whose idea it was for this heel turn and this and that and the other thing. I understand the logistics, to put over, Bianca Belair and this and that. But Bianca Belair, I agree with you. She is on the top of her game. She is having a defining run. And Becky Lynch, I feel like, and that's the thing, is that I don't know who's actually, whether these ideas are coming from her or if they're coming from creative, but whoever it's coming from doesn't see what all of us fans have seen since the beginning. Like, there's gold right there, absolute gold. And it has nothing to do with Sasha Banks, Bayley, or Charlotte. There's absolute gold right there. And I just feel like they, are almost getting to a point where they're just throwing things at the wall and see what happens. That's why they won't decide and give us an absolute on which side, if Becky's a full heel or she's a baby face and this and that. And it's really just kind of gotten to a point where, as much as I hate to say it, and I hate to say this is going to hurt. I'm going to need 4 Lunchables after this. I'm ready to see Becky Lynch drop the title, because for me, and it's not because I don't think it'll really do all that much for Bianca. I feel like the next person will put Bianca over better, because Becky Lynch's character right now and everything is so confusing and so mild, for a good term. Like, she needs to go on one extreme or the other. I know she can. We know she can. But now it's just gotten to a point where, like, I'm waiting. I didn't even get a long honeymoon phase with her coming back. It's still one of the top 3 moments that I will ever remember. And yes, I'm a grown man, and maybe a tear dropped a little bit when her music hit in the Allegiant Stadium, maybe. But that just like with Big E, the pop was there, the spice was there, the ingredients were there. and they just haven't done anything with it. And now I just want to see the next. I want to see where she goes next at this point. Because Bianca Belair, she deserves to be the champion right now. She is doing amazing work, and it's such a thin women's division. They really need to. I believe that Bianca Belair brings more to the table right now as champion, and that hurts to say because I'm one of those people that I'm a diehard Becky fan. Where usually give her the title and she can just run with it for 5 years. I don't care, but this is diminished. I believe that this is actually diminishing her character and diminishing her. Whereas it could have this storyline and these two together, these two extremely talented women. The physique of Bianca Belair right now. My goodness. Like if she was walking across the street with an angry look on her face, I'm walking the same way. I'm crossing the street. Like she has put in the work. And I've seen I've seen her cutting, getting more cut and defined over the last 4 or 5 months. And I mean, that's work. And then you look at Becky, she just had a kid. She came back with a 6-pack that she didn't have when she left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you have the ingredients. It's there. These women are at the top of their game and the top of their talent, their profession. But the story is just not. I mean, it's just not doing it for me. And now I just kind of want to see Becky separated from the title picture for a while.
It doesn't make sense, and I've stuck by this. I continue to stick by it. Why they even attempted to turn her heel? If it was for the sacrifice of Bianca, like I kind of understand that, but at the same time, Becky Lynch was your biggest women's star, arguably maybe the biggest star in the company before she left and had her child. And you bring her back. The fans are ready to embrace her, love her, have a love fest with her. And then they just pull the rug out and the fans are like, what? And then the weirdest thing about this is they're half-heartedly doing it. They're not really doing it. She'll say something kind of arrogant. She'll wear the obnoxious glasses and the crazy outfits out there. And we're supposed to be apparently annoyed by that. I'm not annoyed by it. I find it as kind of appealing. Like, oh, she's starting to, her character's evolving. That's what should happen. So I don't know why we're supposed to hate her. The crowd generally is positive, but there are some kind of mixed boos in there. To me, I don't know if they're doing it purposefully to keep her in between so that they can use her in any role that they want for the flexibility where they could keep her as they could book her as a heel or they could book her as a babyface, and it gives them the most flexibility, which to me is cowardice that they can't just choose a damn side for their biggest female star that they've had in the last 10 years of Becky Lynch. Now obviously Bianca's on the rise, but up until that point you had Becky Lynch main evented WrestleMania 35 with Ronda Rousey, which still should have been one-on-one. I'm still bitter about that. But to me, look, you have a star that you really, really you did the worst thing possible upon her return in a confusing setup at SummerSlam. And that was just a weird setup. You try to turn her heel. It doesn't work, but then you half commit. It's like you can't be half pregnant, right? Like you either are or you aren't. So pick a side, pick a lane, stay in it and go. I don't want to hear the shades of gray argument. That's a lazy argument to me. That's a lazy creative and Vince argument to me of, well, there's shades of gray in real life. Well, wonderful. This isn't real life. I want somebody to be very easily discernible of which place they're in. It's easier to follow in the mind. We don't want to watch a product and have to think and think and think. Well, I'm not saying that we're all brain dead, but I want to be able to understand who's who and why I should care who wins and loses. But bringing this all back to Becky and Bianca, look, I think that Becky and Bianca, their physiques are insane. Like you said, Bianca probably could beat up 95% of the male population in the United States. She's a legitimate, credentialed athlete. That is, she's really coming into her own. Her on-camera presence is wonderful. Her in-ring is outstanding. She has everything that you could ever want in a wrestler, and a massive star. And Becky Lynch, in her own right, is also kind of strangely in the shadow of Bianca right now, which is weird. but I think it's a lot to do with the kind of in-betweenness that Becky has right now. So I'm looking forward to their match tomorrow night. Do you think there's any chance that Bianca takes that championship tomorrow night?
No, I want to say no for logic, but who knows? WWE likes to shock. Maybe they heard your podcast the other day. When you were saying that, like, hey, this is supposed to feel like anything could happen. This is supposed to, anything could happen on any given moment. But no, that would just be continued laziness with the story. This needs to have when the title goes back to Bianca Belair, it needs to be a moment, and that putting it this next tomorrow, I don't see that happening, because that would just, it's not like WWE doesn't get lazy like that in other ways, but I just that would be dumb to me. Dumb's the only word that I could think of. It's not time, but it needs to happen, but. If they did it now, then I think that it wouldn't build or put either of them over any more than they are now. We'd still be in the same scenario that we're at now, except for the title would be on someone else. That's all.
Yeah, Bianca needs to go on a chase. She needs to go on a chase, and I'm cool if it goes all the way to WrestleMania, another 5.5 months. Fine, bring it on. I'm all about the big, long, slow burns. And that scratch and claw to get back to where she was, have her get screwed over a number of times, sidetracked in another rivalry. Then you got the Rumble. Then you're off to WrestleMania. It's easy. It's a fairly easy time frame to start booking now once you get to the end of the year, because people are already now. I'm talking to people that already start to look at WrestleMania around Survivor Series. I'm kind of one of them, and right now it's starting to peek into our brains a bit about, okay, who's champion? Could they go all the way to WrestleMania? Who could chase who? And as I've said, and you mentioned, it's a time of the year when you will see a lot of heel champions take over, because you can start to build the baby faces to WrestleMania, where the majority of them will win. So that's what I always look out towards the end of the year. So any other things that you wanted to touch on before we close things out?
I have three little things here. Three things. One, Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro are in another level, and I say that they are the two of the most important people in wrestling in WWE, because of what we just said earlier about Cesaro. They can work with anybody, they can do anything, and they put in the work. They never, you can have them as a placeholder champion for a moment, you can have a fill in for someone that gets injured, but you need people like that to sell and put people over. That's their job, and no one right now on the roster does it better, in my opinion, than Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro. The second one is Hero. Oh, give him. I'm just gonna plead with you, and if you want to trust me or not, that's totally up to you. Give it a moment. Give it some time. This is a group of absolute superstars, and it's not just because Swerve is from about 150 miles north of where I grew up, Tacoma, Washington, but it's because I have seen Swerve Scott's entire stint in NXT, from the minute he debuted in the breakout tournament and all the way to when he got the North American title, and he didn't get the other three members until towards the end. Like, he built himself on his own. He is on his own a main level event headlining superstar. I promise that, beyond the shadow of a doubt. One of the other members, Top Dollar 2 years ago was playing in the NFL. He stopped playing in the NFL and started training to become a wrestler, and he's somebody that a lot of people in the locker room are really high on. There's even a story that just came out. He just did an interview. He I quote this: he is ready to job for Roman Reigns. And to be perfectly honest, the size of these two men and what he can do in the ring, like, that's what Roman Reigns needs. These people, he needs somebody, because he can't have Brock Lesnar all the time, And so I plead with you just to give them a little time, because they maybe seem a little off, a little cheesy here and there, but they're not the New Day. You know what I'm saying? But give them a little bit of time, because there is greatness in that group.
there's a reason that they got brought up. The 3 other members weren't even regulars on NXT, like wrestling, long programs or anything before they got called up. They are called up on Swerve Scott. Swerve Scott got these guys together. He's the glue. I feel like he's almost, Paul Heyman-esque in how he can just bring the best out of people around him. It feels so real. That's why to some people, if you're not into the hip hop community or to a lot of things that they say and whatnot, in the African American culture, whatnot, you might not understand it, but they're not doing it, as like we were talking earlier in a horrible way, like, with Mustafa and Jinder Mahal and things of that nature. This is something that is really, these guys weren't supposed to be on the main roster yet. Swerve Scott, yes, but these other guys, they came together. They've created this really neat group. And if you're not going to go back to NXT, and if you go back to NXT, I would just watch some of Swerve Scott's matches. I would go back to the original Breakout tournament. It was like a year and a half ago, and watch Swerve Scott from the beginning. He has absolutely just grown into a superstar literally in the span of a year. And I'm excited to see where they go from there, because they're one thing that's come up from NXT, and there's no change. They are the exact group that they were, and then at the end of NXT as they showed up on the main roster. So that's really, really good for me. What was the last thing? I had one more. You can go respond to that. I'm gonna find my note and give my last point.
Yeah, so I'll respond to that while you're digging. Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro. I've got nothing else to say other than these guys are just the gatekeepers, right? Like they are the gatekeepers for new talent when they come in to get over new talent. They can work with absolutely anybody that comes in. They are the consummate professionals. They don't get the company in trouble ever. They don't have bad PR. They're reliable. They bust their ass. They are what you look for when you are trying to build a company, or guys like Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro. Now, they may not be your main eventers. They may not be your headliners or the face of the company, but these are the workhorses of your group, and nothing but respect for those two. As far as Hit Row goes, again, I'm not saying I'm up. I'm not down on them. All I did was observe their last interaction or two that they had on the main roster, and it feels like, now again, I didn't see them in NXT, but they feel very choreographed, and maybe that's the purpose because they are music creators. I guess that's their thing. I just feel like everything they say and do, especially their first entrance and first introduction, was so not even scripted, just choreographed. Like, it's almost like they spent the afternoon of how to go through what they were going to do. It felt way, way too produced. That's the only criticism I can give it. Now, the credentials you're talking about with Swerve and everybody else, I'm not disputing that. I mean, you know more about them than I do here. I did not like the very, very heavily produced way that they introduced them. It, to me, was just kind of a turnoff. It did not feel organic. It felt like just I was watching a movie and they had these actors come out. It did not sit well with me. But again, that's one day. I'm not up or down on it. That was just my observation.
Okay, yeah, that's completely what I expected. To be honest, like I think I think Swerve is somebody that a year from now you're gonna look back and you're like, you know what? All right, because he, in my opinion, he's one of the next superstars. You know what I mean? But my last point was really to everybody listening. There's something that you do here on the WWE podcast that I just get such a kick out of, and man, it's $1. It's $1. You can borrow $1 from your neighbor. You can go for a walk down the park and pick up enough pennies and quarters to get $1. Okay, I will give someone $1 if that's what they need, if they don't have $1. But the Patreon and the chat and everybody, like all the members in there, from the casual wrestling fan, DJ Kuzma, Amanda, everybody. There's a reason why it's so great, and this is the reason. My friends probably are sick and tired of me talking about wrestling every day, because I watch wrestling. The week come over to play dominoes, I'm like, yeah, let's play dominoes. But we watch wrestling. It's Monday. It's Monday Night Raw, or it's AEW, or it's NXT. And the great part about that Patreon chat is you can give your friends a break. you can give them a breather. You can give them a chance to go watch something else or talk about something else, because it is so much fun to, whether watching a pay-per-view or just even talking about, news stories or this and that. It's $1 to save your friends from you having to talk about wrestling with them every single day. And so I urge everybody to go on that Patreon, join the chat with us. Let's talk some smack. You can joke around. It's absolutely great. But it's also made, the pay-per-views and the big moments on TV and whatnot, it's made them even more enjoyable, because you're not just sitting there watching it by yourself or with your people in your house. I'm over here on the West side, watching it on the West Coast, watching it with you guys on the East Coast. And it's a lot of fun, and it's literally one of the best dollars that I ever spent. I actually paid for a bigger one, I'm pretty sure. I want the coffee cups though, so I think I'm going to up my membership. But no,
so you're going to pay top dollar.
Yeah, I will pay top dollar, no pun intended. But it is great. It's a lot of fun, and really, like, the people in there. I enjoy just talking wrestling with them all the time. And I know you do a lot of work and a lot of research and stuff, but and I work a lot. I'm sure obviously, like Mimi, she's got work to do, and this and that. But we don't have all the time to do all the research that I would personally want to do, and that room right there, it really does help out a lot as well. Like, when anybody finds out something, they're like, "Hey, did you hear this?" Or, "Hey, did you hear about this?" So give your friends a break. Get $1. I will pay for one person. I will donate $1 to somebody if they need it that bad. But save your friends. I know mine have appreciated it a lot. That's why they're really big supporters of me. I've really been looking forward to this podcast. I'll be very, very honest. I've been a musician for a very long time. I've performed on stages with 10,000 people, open for T-Pain, Tech Nine, the whole 9 yards, toured the nation, and after COVID, it really took all of that away from me. And I still haven't stepped back into it, because I just not where I want to be at the moment. And, I just didn't have an outlet, and wrestling really has been my outlet since the beginning of COVID. And so doing, podcasts and listening to your guys' podcasts, I really am that excited to be honest, Joe, with you. I mean, I'm not saying you're like the God, but to me, it's the only podcast I listen to. It's the only podcast that got me into listening to podcasts to begin with. It was you. It was, Mimi and Ashley Mann. Like, that's really what got me to start listening to podcasts, and I've tried listening to a few others, and it's not just because it's wrestling. It's because it's something I can get invested in, and I can actually handle listening to you guys talk for a long period of time, unlike Joe Rogan. So, I anytime I can celebrity shot, I'm 100% down. Big thank you to everybody that's been, throwing feedback at me and giving me, props for, doing the AEW reviews when I'm a brand new fan to it, but no, I'm having a blast. I hope to, work with you again soon. And like I said, my ultimate goal is to start and launch my own episode. I have it all sketched out, but I want to start my foray. Is that the word? Foray into the podcast world.
Yeah.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
It's fun, and that's the one thing. Well, first of all, I'll say, everybody, holla for $1, right? Like, I don't know where I came up with that. So holla for $1 if you want to get, look, podcasting is, and I could do a whole podcast about podcasting, but I've been doing this in one form or another since 2014. So nearly 8 years now that I've been doing, not this show particularly. This has been only around for 4 or 5 years, but the podcasting it's great because everybody can start in it. You don't need a ton of money at all, but also it's dangerous because everybody can get in it, right? So it's something you have to passionately love, that you're not going to make a whole bunch of money off of off the bat. Many people get into it thinking, I'm going to have sponsorships, I'm going to be doing this and that. Not happening unless you're an established celebrity off the bat. Like, if you have a built-in audience, that could probably happen. But people who think that they're going to get into it, that are starting from ground level, that you think in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're suddenly going to be making thousands of dollars a month, ain't going to happen. Right? But that's why you have to love what you talk about for a while and do what you love to talk about for free. And then, it takes it's patience and consistency over time is what really weed so many people out of this, because like, screw that. I'm too tired. I don't want to, like, there's just so much that goes into this, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not at all, because there's so many people that do this that are in my same boat or are way better than I am and have, ranked much higher. But to say that, this show started from zero, like absolutely nothing, to a top 50 show somewhat consistently on Apple Podcasts is it's not just a tribute to me, it's a tribute to you as listeners and to all of our co-hosts that we have, everyone from Anthony to Ashley to Mimi. I'm going to forget somebody, I'm sure. Zach and Michael Gross, Michael Ritter, and it's such a great place to be. And like you said, they have the Discord chat to talk to people about wrestling if you don't have anybody. So in this case, you have friends to talk to about it. In my case, my friends hate wrestling, so they don't want to talk about it as it is, and I have a place to go and complain or rant or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is, man. And hey, anytime you need a celebrity shot, I got you.
I will. Yeah, I'll just call on the Krisis and say, hey, listen, I need someone to take down the celebrity a peg or two, right? And I'll have you on. So, awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Wait.
Yeah.
Not a celebrity shot. If you need me to throw a celebrity shot.
I thought celebrity. Oh my God, I have not. You know what? It's hilarious that you bring that up, because I'm 36 now. I have not heard that in so long. Like that. Yeah. I mean, I've played probably hundreds, if not thousands, of beer pong games in my life, and that part of my brain hasn't been active in a long time. So you're taking me back like 10 years to a time when it was like, every weekend, that kind of thing, right? So damn.
Yeah, no, celebrity shots when you're just passing the beer pong table and you're like, hey, I'll take a celebrity shot for you.
Got it. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And sometimes it works out. Most of the time it doesn't. But when you hit it and you hit a celebrity shot, it's one of those, right. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It doesn't happen often, but now I know what you mean. Yes. So anytime you want to do a celebrity shot, we will pull you in. It's going to be Survivor Series. We're going to get into the Royal Rumble season very shortly. So absolutely.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for the night. Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Absolutely, brother. And I will talk to you, I'm sure, in the Discord chat very soon. And we'll be publishing this up, and I'm sure people love it. So thanks again, brother. And you have a good night.
Hey, you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.